Is it worthwhile paying for advice, or is it better off just flying solo and going it alone on your property journey? Hi, I'm Sam Powell.
And I'm Jared Krause, and we are the hosts of the Property Pals Australia podcast. And in this episode, this is part two, because we've just done a beast of a recording on who you actually need on your property team and why you need them on your team. We also just discuss so much around buyer's agents. Do you actually need one? How to do your due diligence on a buyer's agent when trying to find the right one, and what you need to look out for, because there are a lot of rookie buyer's agents out there. We also discuss when you should use a property valuer to make sure you're not actually overpaying for a deal.
Yeah, we also delve into building and pest inspectors, which are really important, and looking at what the costs are involved, if you need them, and also what to really look for when you're assessing which one to choose, because it can save you thousands, tens of thousands of dollars by choosing the right person, or it could cost you if you don't do your due diligence on the better inspector. Also, we'll jump into looking at town planners and engineers for those that are a little bit more risk averse and like to get into more small development plays. And we also touch on the importance of quantity surveyors in the property investing journey, and are they worth their money? Are they not? We will break that down and so much more. So listen on in. This is part two. If you haven't heard of part one, then go back and listen to that one first, and then jump back in. But we're really excited and hope you get a lot out of it. So enjoy.
Welcome to Property Pals, the podcast where we share everything around how to build a property portfolio, from researching areas, financing, structuring, buying, selling, and reinvesting to live a life of financial independence. As a disclaimer, any information shared by myself, Jared, Sam, and the Property Pals team is strictly general and should not be taken as constituting professional advice. You should consider seeking independent legal, financial, and taxation advice from a qualified professional. Buyer's agents now. This is good. We're going to do multiple episodes on buyer's agents. On all of these talking points, I guess we should really.
Yeah, we'll break it down. And, but definitely leave feedback on which one is more of interest to you, because, jumping into buyer's agents, they're not for everybody. There's been a rise over the past, buyer's agents have been around actually since 2000. So there's definitely a rise of them coming through now.
So many YouTube videos with so many buyer's agents, and actually there's people selling courses on teaching people how to become buyer's agents. So it's like everybody's getting their little...
You're in the funnel, mate.
Yeah, I am in the funnel.
Yeah. So it's...
I'm in the vortex of property on YouTube. Don't go down it, guys. You'll be... Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, that goes back to the initial point that I mentioned at the start of the pod, where there is so many marketing businesses out there that are specialising in real estate, and they're young people, but they're tech savvy, so they've got all these different apps, and they can reach a wider audience, and their skill set is valuable. And they're actually making these buyers agents and real estate agents basically better at deal flow.
Yeah.
And the issue is cool, you're getting hundreds of more leads a year. But my biggest issue is that you just lack the experience of transacting
asset selection.
Asset selection, analysing, negotiating on actual property itself, which is what they're paying you to do. So people are getting caught up in all these savvy marketing campaigns, thinking these people are great, but in reality, they might have done maybe 10 or 20 deals or something like that, and that is really scary, because
very scary.
I've been doing, I've been valuing property for 10 years, and then in this buyer's agent space for a few years on top of that. And I'm learning every single day, and I work with a team of people we've done thousands of property transactions, and it's just scary to see. And there's definitely a concern that's rising in the industry through the people who are really good at what they do, because they are losing market share, and obviously they're not happy about it. But there's a few situations we've pulled people out of who have gone down the path with buyers agents that lack that experience. So
that comes to like anybody that I'm going to work with in business or when we buy businesses, we're going to do due diligence. So doing DD on your buyer's agent is so important. Much like you would do DD on a broker, I guess, a finance broker. But what are the things that we need to look for when we're doing due diligence on selecting a good buyer's agent?
Yeah, experience. So once again, minimum 4 years of the buying experience is important.
And with 4 years experience, surely they've done, hopefully bought more than 100 properties or like more than 200, maybe like, I don't know, 50 a year. Is that like a good thing or?
Yeah, well, with 4 years, say you're doing 25, like 100 property transactions, I think is a good safe sort of figure.
Like a minimum?
Yeah, minimum.
Absolute
me
minimum.
Personally, like, I mean, you can go and do these courses.
Obviously, you'd want somebody that's done 10,000 or something,
right? That's a lot. I mean, and there's definitely like there's shifts where there's been real estate agents which have been in the buyer's agent space, and they're very experienced on the transaction base, and like they've got that that experience. I'm a valuable that's gone into the buyer's agent space, so I've got all that analysis and then negotiation experience as well. So it's those that are jumping into the industry with, they might have a background in marketing or they might have a background in Bunnings. It's sort of just ask those probing questions, because it is an expensive asset that if you do get it wrong, it can cost you a lot of money. And if you're paying someone to do the service, you may as well be paying someone to do a better job. So some people might charge $10,000. Some people might charge 15 to 20. Some people charge $100,000. So
100K that's commercial.
No, that's like a personal. So
100K for a buyer's agent fee.
Yeah, they run on 1 to 2% of the purchase price. So if you're buying a $10 million property,
got ya. Yeah.
You can go into that space, and then that's also, the space that you're playing with that purchase price. There's a lot more skill set in the niche market, and also finding those good quality off market deals, and those relationships they hold with those agents, and knowing that area is super important. And also people buying 10 million plus properties, they understand the value of their time.
Yeah.
So they could look for property for a year and also know how to know what it's worth, because it's a very important skill set once you're jumping into those higher price brackets.
So buyer's agents, like, we're going to do multiple episodes, like I said, on buyer's agents. But for somebody that's buying a $10 million property and spending $100K, I would even think you're silly not to, because that buyer's agent could get that price down by more than $100K. So it's kind of like using a buyer's agent for free. That's why I see it as like, I know that Sam helped me hugely with my last property, and prior to that, I had another property that I bought with a buyer's agent, and we got a great deal on it, and probably lesser than what the current market would get, because that buyer's agent is just doing so much volume, and they know so many they've got great relationships with all of the people in that area, and they're doing volume.
Yeah,
and it's smarter and easier for agents to take deals and sell deals to buyer's agents, or people using buyer's agents that they work with every single day.
Yeah, there's a fine line between being friends with the real estate agent, because obviously you want to have that rapport, and so they sell to you, and I guess selling them on the benefits of allowing your client to buy the property over somebody else. Like, everyone's got the best interest of their client in heart. Like, the selling agent needs to get the highest price for their client, but then the selling agent doesn't get paid unless they sell a property. Buyers agents, same. That's kind of why I prefer a fixed fee model rather than a commission model, because it's not tied to, well, if I'm charging you 2% for this purchase, the more you pay for it, the more I get paid. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's a massive conflict of interest there.
Yeah. But then you're right, going back to the other point, like when you are buying those multi-million dollar properties, it's funny because $100,000 feels like $10,000. Like you're like,
it's you're buying an 8-figure deal. Like you're buying a 10 mil property. Like it's not. So if you're buying $1 million property,
put it this way: if I'm buying an investment property at $550,000, I'm like, oh, is it worth 550? Is it 560? 540? I'm buying a $5.5 million property.
Yeah.
5.5, is it 5.4, 5.6? That's $100,000.
Yeah.
But in reality, that's just the way it works.
It's the cost of doing business, really.
Yeah.
I think you'd be silly not to use a buyer's agent.
Yeah, well, obviously me too. That's why I jumped into the space, and I just saw so many people getting burned. Right?
Yeah, because you came from the valuation background, and you see you've seen some things. That's for sure.
You leave the. It's a bit of a cushy gig, really, like the senior valuer position, and then it's nice, but you still, I guess, you lack that purpose, and that's why I'm here. But anyway, buyer's agent is very important. If you're going down the investment route, a qualified property investment advisor is really important. It's a course that they need to do to get to that certification,
which is you.
Yeah, which is me, and basically they're looking at the position from start to go. So your structure, what your strategy is, what the investment asset type is, and also the asset selection within certain areas, and then the whole transaction process as well. So that's been pushed by the Property Council of Australia and the Property Investment Professionals of Australia. So they're some really good membership sites that they're good people, and they're advocating for good quality advice, just like any advice should be.
So buyer's agents have to have that quality property investment agency. Okay.
No, so to become a buyer's agent...
So that's why you got people that have done like 3 deals a year and they're buyer's agents.
All you need to do is to get your real estate license, and then get your professional indemnity, public liability insurance, and set up your company.
And tell us about the real estate license. How hard is that to get?
Real estate license.
How long does it take, or like what's involved?
Look, you can probably do it within a month full time.
Oh wow! So I could just go and become a buyer's agent in a month.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's not good for the industry, is it?
Yeah, and the course is it's time consuming, but it's not hard.
Yeah,
it's like, well, compared to university, it's a piece of piss. But that's the thing. As a real estate selling agent, you do your license, but you need to have a few years of experience of that as a salesman before you go and become a licensed real estate agent, essentially. So that's what they're trying to bring into the buyer's agent space, and because it's so new,
like it's only 20 years old, and let's look at how slow legislation moves.
And the rise of the buyer's agent really in Australia hasn't come through until probably like 2015.
Okay.
Like generally it's for the more higher net worth clients, but now people in the lower brackets they're appreciating the value of a good person who can work on their behalf all throughout the week, so they don't have to spend weekends analysing and missing out on properties, and it's very time consuming.
Just get a buyer's agent, but make sure you get a good buyer's agent, not somebody that's 19 and just done a course.
Yeah, that's really good at marketing and TikTok and Instagram ads.
I mean, I wouldn't become a buyer's agent. It's not my thing, but I think I could do pretty well as a buyer's agent, and within a month. And there's I don't have the experience you have. So, would you rather use Sam as a buyer's agent or me? Obviously Sam. And that's why you need to do your DD on buyer's agents.
Yeah, I had a good session with a client the other day, and they asked me what's the difference between you and everybody else? And I said,
that's a good question.
I said, well, I've analysed, inspected thousands of properties, in my time. I'm obviously probably invest myself, and also we've done, for me personally, hundreds of transactions. For the people, my team that I work in, we've done thousands. So,
when you were valuing, you would at times you were doing 10 a day, 10 valuations a day.
10 a day.
So that's 50 a week.
Yeah,
that's 200 a month.
Yeah, you're making me sound scary.
That's 2,400 a year, dude. Yeah. And you did it for 10 years. You've done tens of thousands of deals more. You've done more than 1,000 deals. Not deals, I should say, value. You've looked at more than.
I travelled a lot though. It took a lot of time off.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm saying it's a good thing. You've looked at more than 10,000 properties or 10,000 deals.
Yeah, I've analysed.
It's insane.
10,000 properties. That down.
Tens of thousands.
Anyway, we're getting sidetracked.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, people don't want to talk about me. But outside of probably the buyer's agent, look, to each their own. There's courses out there that can teach you to do it yourself. They generally charge you thousands of dollars anyway. And then there's people that can do it for you. So it really depends on your budget, because I do understand that to go and spend a fee on a buyer's agent up front, that's reducing your cash for the initial purchase and potentially lowering your borrowing capacity, because you've got a lower deposit, right? If you need to stick to, say, an 80% loan-to-value ratio to not pay a lender's mortgage insurance, what a mouthful. But, I get that too, but at the same time, just understand what it is that you're giving up. It might be a little bit, one step backwards to take multiple steps forward.
You're investing in your future, your property portfolio future.
Yeah. But obviously, I've got a vested interest in saying it's worthwhile. But do your research and.
Well, you're not a buyer's agent. You're not like working as a buyer's agent. So right now.
Well, we don't. We position ourselves as expert analysis.
Well, at least you're not selling that as a service on this pod.
Yeah. No, I don't. I'm not. I'm qualified, and we do that. We do the whole buyer's agent space for people all around Australia, and at all different price points, from $300,000 to, I think this year probably like 5 million was got a few 5 million going at the moment.
Okay,
so cool. We're a little bit different in that sense, but I don't really want to talk about what we do. If you do want to know more about what I do and if I can help you, then obviously reach out. That's the whole idea, is to put you in a place if it doesn't suit my skill set or our team's skill set, that I'll be able to put you in the right place at the right time with the right people.
Connect you with somebody that can be the right person for you in that journey.
There's a lot of moving parts in my life at the moment. Some exciting things happening. So
reach out, guys. Is it hello@Property Pals? hello@propertypals.au, not .com. But we still got so much more to chat about. Like, this is a beast. This is the beast of an episode, and then it's basically setting up the structure on like all the different things that we need to chat about in different episodes.
Part one?
No, we'll just record this whole thing, and then we might split it up into two through the editing process.
Cool.
So, buyer's agent, do your DD on them, use them. I think you're crazy not to, especially if whether you're buying investment or buying just for PPR. Crazy not to. So now, once we move on from a buyer's agent, you've got property valuer in here. I am going to be a bit vulnerable and say I don't know why you would have a property valuer in the process. I'd like to know though why. Like why? Yeah.
Well, these are kind of like the people that are good to have on your team. A property valuer. Look, if you buy a property using finance, the bank's going to send out a property valuer to assess the risk on the contract. So what I mean by that, they'll go out and see what you're paying for the property, analyse the area, and say, yes, bank, this purchase price of $2 million is worth $2 million.
Yeah.
And
so the lender does that when you apply for a loan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then if you're applying for another loan or drawing equity out, they'll send a valuer out there. It generally doesn't cost you anything because the banks wear
part of
that
their
fee.
process. Yeah.
You can get independent valuations, like pre-purchase valuations and things like that, which I used to do for people.
So you mean pre-purchase or getting pre-approval?
Pre-purchase. So
okay.
A lot of people, and now the rise of the buyer's agent is sort of like removing that. But
so now I understand it. So you would get pre-approval for what you could get for lending, and then you would find a property, and they would have a price that you thinking that you might agree to, and then you would have your own independent valuer go out and check out the deal and make sure it's like, hey, I'm not going to overpay for the deal.
Yes.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah, and you can use that valuation report as a negotiation tool with the sales agent. However, it depends on where you are on the property
site. So you slip a bit of money under the table to your valuer to say, just value it a little bit under.
Super low.
Yeah. So
when talking about the importance of a property valuer on your team, the reason why I put it in there is it's good to know a property valuer, and at the very least, send them. Like I said to my friends for years, like if you're going to buy a property, at least send me it so I can look over it and make sure you're not overpaying for it. Some people don't like to get me involved because they don't. It's like finance; they don't want to get
with
told.
friends and finance. I don't want to get
But also people don't want to be told, oh, you're paying too much, because they get really emotionally invested in the whole purchase. And
or tell you not to buy the deal.
Yeah, they don't want to do it. And that's, I mean, to each their own. Like, I just understand how it works, and I feel like having someone with that skill set is valuable. And from a risk perspective too, like if you're using finance and you're paying too much for a property and the valuation comes below that, then you've got to sack up and pay the difference. So it could be quite costly. If you're doing a commercial deal, you need a valuer regardless. So that's why I put it in there as well, because that's part of the due diligence process with commercial, is that you get a formal valuation on the property. And that's the skill set. And we'll get a commercial valuer on this pod pretty soon, I hope, and run you through basically all the due diligence that they do, and that really minimises your risk from that front. And I guess commercial is more of it's more analytical, because you can take the emotion out of it, because generally people are buying it, it's a business decision, whether it's an investment or to run a business through it. So
it's also less regulated, that space as well, right?
It's similar to, I guess, the buyer's agent space, but there's a lot more to know, and a lot more that can go wrong. So the value of a good valuer is high in that sense, and a good commercial buyer's agent is super valuable in my opinion.
And with the commercial deals, the banks are looking at the lease as well as a part of the valuation of the deal too. So there's that. Maybe we should stick to resi for now though. What do you reckon?
Well, that's why I put the value in there. The other person is obviously a building and pest inspector. Similar to a solicitor conveyancer, give them a heads up and actually seek them out before doing having
the contract of sales signed.
Yeah, because then they're going to be prepared for you to come through. It's not reactionary, and also you can do a little bit more due diligence on that building and pest.
Who you want to use. I guess it's good to have, a couple of building and pest inspectors, and then go, all right, this is the person that I want to use in different areas, different states, and before you buy a deal, so you're not like, oh, I've settled and I'm freaking out and I need to find somebody, and you make a decision emotionally because you're working, and then you've got this other property investment going on. Yeah,
it's funny actually. There's a nationwide building and pest inspection business that is just renowned for giving poor quality reports, and they're just.
Should we just hold them accountable and mention their name?
It starts with an R.
Okay, well that's it.
We get defamation of character.
Yeah, we'll just cap it there. But
it's similar to a speed. It's called no, like it's called. It's called Rapid, and Rapid are really they're really fast, and I've just heard some bad things. Just in regards to get in, get out, get your money, send your report, and move on to the next one. And there's a few things missed. Like you need them to go up in the roof, you need them to have a look around, tap every single tile with a little stick, do the moisture reading. There's a lot to it, and there's a big report. And also,
what are we looking at? Like, I guess a good question would be like the price. I know typically I like to say you get what you pay for, but sometimes you will pay a bit more and not really get that. But what's like if somebody's going to say, hey, I'll do a building and pest inspection for $150,
don't do it.
Okay, so how much should we be paying roughly?
Purchase price range, but generally $500 to $800. Yeah, maybe $1,000. Like in the major CBDs, like say Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and there's high demand, they'll be charging around $800.
So yeah, doing your DD on these building and pest inspectors and businesses and companies. Look at like when you're going to buy a pair of shoes, look at reviews like you do if you're going to buy something on Amazon. Like look at the reviews and like you would before you book an Airbnb, I guess.
Yeah, and you can even ask for a sample report. Sometimes they might send it through. Yeah, they want to get in the business as well, but often the people who are busy for a reason. It's like a little referral, repeat. Yeah. Sales agents generally don't like to use a building and pest inspector that they refer to.
Ooh.
Just because
sales agents, as in the person selling the business.
The real estate agent who's selling the property, they'll put you in contact with a building and pest inspector, and they've got that relationship with the building and pest inspector.
Could be at heart,
and they don't really want to do that. However, the building and pest inspector has to be licensed, and you can still go through. You can still take the recommendation and get a quote. And just give them a call and feel them out. Like the onus lies on them if they do a poor report, and you can sue them for negligence. So obviously you don't want to do that, but
we'll get a building and pest inspector on actually.
Yeah,
we should.
Yeah. I've got a few in mind.
Cool. We've got so many people on our team that we just want to get on here. But if you guys have ideas around who you would like to hear from and why, and like questions that you'd like us to ask certain people in our team, email us hello@propertypals.au.
Yeah, good plug. I always say that. I'm not a marketing salesperson. But running down a list now, so building and pest inspector. Now, you've mentioned this one, which is really important, and that's a quantity surveyor, and that's obviously for investors.
Yeah, it's not for PPOR.
No, not for the owner occupiers.
Yeah.
Just because you buy a property.
What is a quantity surveyor though? Like I think we should tell.
They survey the quantity of assets in your property and what they're worth, and they put in a depreciation rate based on its age. So
they give you a depreciation schedule that you can give to your accountant, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And so the reason why it is important is that you're maximising your taxable return. No one likes paying tax. We all pay too much anyway. I don't know what they do with it in Australia.
We won't go down that route.
Get on a soapbox and say, do everything you can to minimise your tax. You're smarter for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway.
So quantity surveying sort of surveys the property and gives you a depreciation schedule that you can use to
give your accountant, and then they can say I can reduce my depreciation amount on this property is X. Therefore, if your property is in cash flow positive, then instead of you paying tax on that income, you might be able to write it off. Or if your property loses money, you can actually make sure that that depreciation is getting taken off, so you lose less essentially. So it's a tax play, but generally the reports are 500 to 900, similar to a building pest inspector. But most of them guarantee that they'll get their fee back within the first year of the schedule. So properties like houses in Australia have a 40-year shelf life in accordance to the Australian Tax Office. Not financial advice, check with your accountant. But that's like a 2.5% depreciation per year. So that's pretty standard, but it's everything else. And having someone go in and inspect it, you might have an updated aircon unit, which you can write off, washing machine, multiple different things.
So when you say 2.5% depreciation, so if you've got $1 million asset, we're looking at like $25,000 a year that you can claim. Like this is not
the round figure
tax advice,
if the house, the building structure is $1 million, so it costs you $1 million a year, $1 million to build, and it's brand new, and that's why a lot of
$1 million build, not $1 million property valuation.
Correct.
Yes, got you.
It doesn't take into account the land because that's not a depreciable asset.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people get sucked into the house and land packages. And there's a strategy for everyone, right? Like house and land packages,
you love them, don't you?
I don't touch. Generally,
no offense to people that buy house and land packages.
Look, there's a time and a place for it. I just haven't really come across a client where
in terms of investment.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of supply risk with house and land packages because they get. Generally, the land releases are on the outskirts of the city, so your distance to either CBDs or your, the risk of another developer coming through and doing 1,000 lot subdivision behind what you just bought, that's going to hinder your land growth because
not available land.
Well, why would I go a year later? Why would I pay $800,000 for your house when I can go and buy the land and build a whole brand new house for $820? And then. Yeah, people are going to get sucked into these savvy marketing campaigns like this property will appreciate X percent over every year and you'll be able to appreciate $25,000 a year because you've built $1 million asset. And then people are like, oh, cool. Because they generally, in the past, used to go to their accountant and say...
Yeah, financial planners have been really big on this, and the ASICs have cracked down on it, haven't they?
Yeah, and rightfully so.
Recommendations from financial planners that will sell a product on behalf of a building and land package company and get a bit of a kickback.
Yeah, so let's build that out. I used to work for a company as like when I was going up and doing my financial planning certificate license back in the day. They specialised in, they do the statement of advice, do the financial plan, and then a part of that plan was obviously there was shares in there, but there was also investment properties. And then they'd have a separate company that would fulfil on the investment property purchase, and it was always a house and land package. And with that house and land package came a $25,000 to $30,000 referral fee from the builder or developer.
Cha-ching.
Yeah, so that's why I steer away from it, because it's a conflict of interest to take commissions from a builder to incentivize you to advise a product.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather buy an established property where the land value is greater than the asset value, and if you were looking for tax depreciations, you can buy that established property, do a full renovation on it, and therefore you've got all new depreciable assets that you can write down over time, and it generally performs better than the house and land package. There are times where people they've been burnt, where they bought an established property and it was just maintenance, and they just didn't want to deal with hot water systems breaking once every 10 years.
Yeah,
it's pretty stressful once every 10 years.
Well, I mean, so my parents bought off the plan, but a unit, you're not getting the land valuation. But my parents don't want to deal with the yard, and they don't want to deal with
that's an owner occupier. It's an emotional.
Yeah, it is.
Purchase.
And I think actually at that age, we could talk about philosophies in different podcasts on like what's good for us versus like PPOR and investing. Which we'll talk about reinvesting in another episode. That's a good one to speak to. But I think at that age, like effort, like you're at retirement, you're not like trying to make a ton of money.
No, you should have made it by now.
Yeah, and you've just I want to live somewhere freaking easy.
Yeah, but that's why you go into the strategy side and seeing what your goals are, right? Like your parents, from memory, their goals were to travel the world and experience that, and you're not at home all the time, and then yard maintenance, pool maintenance, like it all adds up, and the efficiency of a unit for a lot of especially downsizers is quite attractive. It just depends on where they're at in their financial position.
Yeah.
So there's always a strategy for everyone, and going back to the house and land situation, if you can find a house and land package in a really niche project with sub 200 lots that are there in like an infill area in a CBD, that land is so scarce that it will appreciate over time, and then you've got good land growth. They're just few and far between. There's a couple that went through the Gold Coast, which initially I didn't like because they backed onto a train line. But then the other later stages of the release, they weren't near there, and they've done really well. So you can make money out of them, and obviously through COVID, everyone's coming out there saying they're great, and I say to people, well, it was pretty hard to buy a property and lose money over the last few
in COVID.
years.
Yeah, and also I guess it's been great because they bought my house and land package at this price, and the building costs more to build now, so I got a good deal. But it has nothing to do with the asset selection. That's just inflation.
Yeah, there's a lot of
building costs.
Oh man, we need to do a whole series on this because there's risks involved. Like you can buy off the plan units, and they don't have a builder in place. Like the client I'm dealing with at the moment, I've heard stories like this too. Yeah, they've been going back and forth for over a year trying to find a builder for the site, and they're supposed to be finished construction in 2024, and they haven't even got out of the ground. The people out, of the building. And it's obviously a 17-story beachfront apartment in Burleigh. It's kind of really frustrating for those who are like they've got retirement plans and now they're just sitting on their hands waiting. But we'll discuss further.
Yeah, guys, this has been a monster pod.
We've got one more to go.
One more person on our team that we need.
Team member that I need to.
Okay, so we are going to go town planner and engineer.
Yeah, this is more for those like developer.
We're going to split this pod into two.
Yeah,
this is going to be the second part right now.
If you're looking at doing something a little bit more I guess, risky. So doing like multi-lot subdivisions or 1 into 2 where you buy the property, retain the front house and do a battle axe or a subdivision.
This is what you want me to do next, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, you've bought a couple and it's a good... if you don't do it now, at least having that option to do it in the future. So when we're going down that path, which we probably should actually record, we'll document. Document.
But this is called a 1 into 2 strategy, basically, right?
Yeah.
Investment strategy.
So the whole key is you need to understand, what can you do on the site. That's why town planner's there, and also the engineer. They work hand in hand with the town planner because you need to know, what needs to be engineered on that site to get that approval through. So think like if you're 1 into 2 is obviously easier than 1 into 3 because you have less requirements. You can just probably plug into the same sewage system in the main system.
Okay.
And the electrical.
Probably less strata titling work and stuff like that too.
Yeah. So less
fees on that.
So we're doing 1 in Ipswich at the moment, and it's $80,000 to $100,000 in estimated fees just to do a 1 into 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not cheap. So you need to make sure that you've got that land. Like if you do cut it up,
you got enough land.
You got that land's worth more than, well, basically by the time you buy the property, pay your stamp duty, pay your fees, pay the 80 to 100 grand. Like you need to make at least $225,000 on that land.
The valuation of the land that you split up.
To justify the expense, because there's no point in doing it to not make money.
And then theoretically you would build on that land, which would make that land even more valuable. And then people have the decision to rent both out, sell one, live in one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's a few.
And what's the minimum? It's we're going to get very into the tactics here, but like if in Ipswich there's going to be a minimum land size that you need to buy with a one dwelling on it to be able to split it up, is there a general rule of thumb like 500 square meters around Australia, or like?
No, it's each like government area has their own rules and regulations, and then there's also little tips and tricks like in Brisbane CBD. In Brisbane, if you're within 200 meters from a neighbourhood centre, your zoning can go up, so you can get 2 lots on a 800 square metre block, where generally the minimum lot size is 500. But if you didn't know that, and that's the thing with some of the occupiers that are going in, and they're missing out on these properties. They're not sure why. They're missing out on to developers who know more about the town plan, or the town planners know more about the town plan than what they do. So if you're going down that path, like obviously, even if you're doing a knockdown rebuild play, you still need to have a town planner, an engineer, and then go down that path. So
then you've got another set of team like builders and stuff like that.
Yeah,
which we will we'll chat to on that episode that we do talk about the 2 into 1 strategy.
Yeah, the subdivision
or plays. 1 into 2. Sorry,
but yeah, there's a big part of understanding that. Like I'm not a town planner or an engineer, but just by doing it, you're learning all these things. So knowing where the sites are, making sure that if you're going to do that, the site falls to the road, so your drainage is possible. It's really important. Otherwise, you might have to go into the neighbour lot to actually get the overflow through. Which there's just too many risks. There's a lot of risks in doing those things, and obviously there's the reward for it, and there's hundreds of $1,000s to be won at that point. But for me personally, I like the strategy of, hey, let's buy this. Buy and hold it, and there's the opportunity to do that in the future. You can do it now if you want, or you can do it in the future, and it just gives you that, I guess, wealth equity play that you can manufacture equity in,
manufacture cash.
Yeah, and then just keep going. Sorry,
it's cool because you can you buy something and then you're like, I want to buy a commercial deal and I need like 400, 300K or something, and you can do it.
Yeah, you can cut
it up, sell it, and then buy another deal. It helps you. I guess it gets you out of a pickle of borrowing capacity too, by doing so, having more cash on hand. But the risks are typically higher. Like most investments, the higher the risk, typically the higher returns, and that's where people get burnt when they're like, "Oh, I'm going to be a developer." I think that's an interesting.
I'm definitely not a
case.
developer, and I'd say there's people out there that know a lot more about that than I do. But I'm more of the.
Maybe we should talk about egos and developers, or egos and developers.
Yeah. Well,
I associate that. Like, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but like, I think you can make money just as much doing other things.
Yeah, I agree.
With less work.
Yeah,
right? Like,
less risk.
I built this thing over here. Check me out. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's understanding the property market cycle is a big thing, and I definitely need to delve into that because that's not really regularly covered in Australia because it's going to reduce your risk. If you know where you're at in the property cycle, then you can take those risks with that long term. So for me, if there's a risk of potential downturn in a few years, then it's probably not smart to go through with a big development play. You're looking for a quick in and out if you want to do that. The flipping strategy, at the moment, there's a big push for the granny flats for the increase in income. There's risks there too, so we'll break down that. But for now, like they're really the key members of the team we wanted to cover off. So you got your accountant, your solicitor, your accountant, your mortgage broker, then your solicitor, then you got your property manager, which is really important, and then you go to the buyer's agent, which we've jumped on, the property valuer, and your building and pest inspector, quantity surveyor, and the town planner engineer. So,
Yeah. What a wrap. That's two epic episodes there, guys. If you do have we're gonna interview each of these team members that we both have on the pod. So let us know what questions you might have for them that we can ask them. Email us at hello@propertypowers.au. And we haven't really said, hey guys, if you like this, subscribe. So should we do the whole please subscribe?
Yeah, well, it helps get the word out.
It does.
This is your realm, right?
Yeah, it is. And I thought about not asking people to subscribe because it's like,
Everyone
not just like,
subscribe to my channel.
And there's also this way that you could do it. Like I know on YouTube, the more creative you are with how you ask people to subscribe, the more likely they're going to subscribe because the art form and the creativity to put in asking people to subscribe. We don't have anything creative, so but we do appreciate people who subscribe because why are we doing this? We're doing it to help people, and we're going to reach more people by helping.
So much shit out there.
Yeah,
and obviously we're not perfect either.
No.
I just try.
We're learning at the same time. Even Sam's learning, even though he's looked at tens of thousands of deals.
It's scary. I haven't even broken that down before.
Yeah.
But no, it's way to share the love, right? You don't know what you don't know. That's probably my biggest thing. And Jared's obviously got a really important skill set on getting this knowledge out there to help people. I mean, he's helped. How many people you helped get out of their 9 to 5?
We've bought a lot of businesses. I don't know. I do know, but it's in my list, my tracking list. But yeah, we've helped people make tens of millions of dollars replacing their income, which is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, buying online businesses.
Yeah.
When you first, it was such a really interesting realm that's becoming more and more, confidence is getting more and more into it because of obviously digital assets that are helping that reduce that risk. So anyway, I'm not here to plug your other podcast, mate, but anyway, I think that covers it today. But as Jared said, if you want, subscribe. It helps us out. It helps us get reach to other people to try and educate and help others. Learn, do, teach, share, grow.
Yeah, most of all, thanks for listening, guys.
See you on the next one.
See ya.